Okay. Just a Big Turtle says, and let me see if I can read this because it's really difficult right now where they placed it on the screen. As a millennial, it is cathartic to hear these words coming from an older generation again. I have reflected on the music of my teenage years recently, and they were screaming what I'm saying now. Obviously, TikTok truncates the comment, and I had to paraphrase a little bit. So I apologize if I had misquoted you there. But I understand what you're saying, and I appreciate you leaving this comment. I also appreciate the fact that you've been thinking about these things because it matters that we spend time in personal reflection on some of the things that are broken about our society. The reason why things are broken is because too many people didn't give a shit and didn't care enough about the society in which these broken things are collecting in. And there were so many people that were so self-interested and selfish and only cared about them and theirs. And then they also raised some kids that were like themselves too. You have to remember that, those baby boomers were successful also at raising children that were just like them. So there are a number of Gen X and Millennial and Gen Z kids out there, not Gen Z, but Gen X and Millennials that are sadly just like them. They're deeply self-interested. They're absolutely some of the most selfish people on earth, and they have no concept of helping their fellow man and woman, their community. They have no concept of what it means, to sacrifice some part of themselves for somebody else, where they're not going to get anything back in return. That is just such an aberrant construct for them that they'll just never wake up from the deep self-loathing matrix that they're in. And most of those people that I know are like that are my age or younger, none of them are happy, and they all fake happy. They all fake, a lot of things in their life, and they think they're they think that, they're not transparent, but they really are. And then when they get around people like me make them uncomfortable, and they don't like me because deep down they know that I can see right through their bullshit. I'm just under no obligation to call them out. And there are, what I'm saying? There's a lot of that goes on in our lives. And so, you have to do your best at, trying to do for the world in your own small way and being good to people and being kind to people. Kind words and compliments that are sincere don't cost anybody anything. A good word is free of charge. And the fact is that some people hoard kindness like they're a dragon hoarding gold. And it is the most despicable thing to watch, especially if you see people you love doing it, right? And I don't know if it has anything to do with the fact that some of these people never read books and they never imagined worlds outside of themselves. Like when I was a kid, I read J.R.R. Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, and the Fellowship of the Rings and The Hobbit. I read all that as a kid over and over and over. And I've literally seen people that are so different from myself that are my age where I've given them a book as a present. And you watch them and then you ask them a year later, oh, I gave you Lord of the Rings last year, the illustrated, all 3 volumes, cost me $250. I gave it to somebody, and I asked them, I'm like, did you even read it? And they're like, no, I gave it away. Yeah. Go on Amazon right now. There's this $250, $300 set of Lord of the Rings, and I'm telling you this for a reason. And look at that, and it's beautiful. And it's probably the one book you would want to have in your hands and read that story and get out of your own head and imagine something beautiful where people are sacrificing something for something greater than themselves. And, the narcissism within them, pushed it away and didn't prioritize it and made them even, instead of just leaving it on a shelf somewhere, they gave it away. And when I give a book to somebody and I see them squirrel it away, and don't give priority to it, it tells me everything I need to know. And I am not here to call everybody out. That's the one thing I've learned from narcissistic people older than me that I've spent a lot of time with. I don't got to call you out. It doesn't mean I don't have to be nice to you either. And, I'm telling you this story because people who don't read, I think, are, they're some of the ones that don't see the reasons to be kind to others. It's that in a nutshell. And for some of us that we spend a lot of time with one foot in the real world and one foot in the world that's imagined that could be better, right? That's why we help people. That's why we want to help people. That's why we want to do for other people. And it even says so in the Bible. And some of these people are so like they talk this big religious game, and they're not even following the tenets of their own religion, which is in order to like you have to give to receive. You have to give to get. You shall reap what you sow. Like, it's like they missed every single Sunday school lesson because they were too busy looking at what some other girl was wearing, or who was more popular, or some cute guy in Sunday school, or they wanted to beat up some other kid in the bathroom, or their dad was beating on them and made them go to Sunday school and they hated it, or they thought the whole thing was a joke and didn't care. Some people never take any part of their life outside of things that revolve around money serious at all. And all those people are transparent and weak. And, all of them what are you going to do? But when I say that, that doesn't sound kind, does it? Not even to me, that doesn't sound kind. But some of those people, eventually come around. Yeah. So I appreciate your comment, and I appreciate that you're putting time in and thinking about it. I wanted to leave you a few minutes here. Welcome to Long Form TikTok if you're still listening. That's what we do here. We are not for the people that do this all day. Constantly scrolling on their goddamn phones. And, be well, choose life, practice kindness, speak to people in the way you wish to be spoken to. And, don't be afraid to give someone a nice compliment. Don't be afraid to say something kind to somebody because they may need to hear it, because they've never heard somebody speak to them kindly. Okay? Appreciate it. Be well.